Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Chiro de Siena and I am in an Ora. Again, this is the new Ora 5. We've been given pre-launch exclusive drive of the car. And I've now driven the electric. This is the HEV, and then there'll be a third drivetrain, the Petrol. So South Africa didn't really take to the Ora, the 03, even though it was the cheapest EV in the country at the time. And when we reviewed it, the video got watched many times. People seemed to be very interested, but it didn't sell as well as they were hoping. And so they've come back with a bigger car with 3 drivetrains. Let me explain. Cars.co.za. Right, so GWM is having another go with the Ora brand, and this time it's not going to be a fully electric brand, which is their first strategy. So you can buy an Ora 5 with just a 1.5 litre turbo petrol motor. You can buy this, the HEV, and you can buy the BEV, which we drove recently. Now, in that video, I said that the BEV was the one to have. However, I think this one is the one to have. There's a couple of reasons for that. Now, the key competitor here for this car is the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. I don't have pricing yet for you. The Corolla Cross Hybrid is about $510, and I have a feeling that Ora knows that, and they're going to price it almost exactly the same, or maybe undercut it, maybe $499 for that psychological underneath the 500 grand barrier. So let's just assume for now that they are the same price. Now, they have fairly similar drivetrains. Small battery, 1 kilowatt hour. That's all it really needs to be an HEV. However, big difference, the 1.8 litre in the Toyota Corolla Cross does not have a turbocharger, and it is tuned very much for efficiency. So in our testing, the Corolla Cross is more efficient than this car. Not by much. So Corolla Cross does about 4.5 to the 100, which is very good. This car does about 5.5. With maybe some conservative driving, you'll get it under 5. So not too much difference there on the fuel consumption. However, there is a huge difference in the amount of power and torque available. This car has north of 400 newton meters and 162 kilowatts. It is, by comparison to the Corolla Cross, an absolute rocket. And that's nice. So if you think about it, you've got like 4 times the power for similar fuel consumption. Now that is quite impressive. I drove the BEV and I was very impressed. It's got an impressive range of over 500 kilometers on a charge, 58 kilowatt hour battery, which means it's super efficient. However, I then had to do a 110 kilometer highway drive, and then I got a bit depressed because I really have bought into EVs. I think they're great commuter cars, but every time I take one on a highway trip, it just disappoints me, unfortunately. I just don't think EVs are great on highways, especially if you're fully loaded and there's a headwind. So I did a 110k trip, but it wiped over 200 k's off the calculated range, and it used about 38% of its battery, over a third of its battery, just to do 110 k's. Then I had to do the same trip 2 days later, and I didn't know if I was going to make it, and that's a bit crap, to be honest. That means that it doesn't really fit my lifestyle. And so I am very glad that Ora have launched this, the Ora 5 HEV, because you've got the safety net of petrol and the benefits of electricity, and it brings your fuel consumption down, and it saves you money, and it's actually quite nice to drive. So what are the downsides? Well, I can't stand the brakes. I can't get used to them. It's like you put your foot on the brake pedal, and then it just takes a moment to think about what should happen, and then it brakes, and it's very snatchy. I can't get used to it. It's actually quite annoying. And then there is this noise. It's like this electric haunted house every time you start up and every time you slow down. See if we can get it to do it. And it doesn't sound mechanical. It sounds like it's coming out of the speakers, which I feel is very unnecessary. I really do. Okay, anyway. Right, if you watched our other Ora 5 video on the full EV, you would have seen that the boot was a decent size. However, probably because of the drivetrain in this car, the complicated drivetrain, it has lost some boot space. So we have to test this with our customary obligatory budget cooler box scene. Now, Sean, I don't have a good feeling about this. Oh no, oh dear. You can see how shallow it is. Now there is a Space Saver biscuit spare wheel under here, which is good. South Africans do like a spare wheel, but you can't get a cooler box under the parcel shelf. Oh, that's a bit of a pity. I suppose you can if you do that, and then all your beer spills out. Panic. Yeah, that doesn't happen often, eh, Sean? So there'll be 3 drivetrains to choose from, but there'll be 2 trim levels in each. So you've got super luxury, ultra luxury. Ultra luxury comes with some nice touches like an electric tailgate. You've got a wireless charging pad, although I don't know why they couldn't just put that in the super luxury, but anyway. And you get this very nice panoramic roof. You guys love a pano roof out there. I just think it's a very efficient way to get sunburned, my personal view. Interior good, build quality good, ride quality good, very smooth actually, no rattles and squeaks, nicely put together. Very Chinese, no buttons anywhere, but I will give them this, the infotainment system is very easy to use, it's very responsive, it's very clear. So I think one thing that really counted against the Ora 3 was rear seat space, and that has been largely solved because this is a much bigger car. But rear seat space is good. You can easily get some full-grown adults in there, and kids will be super comfortable. So that's good. In fact, Ora actually calls it an SUV. I don't know. It's kind of more of a fat hatchback, I think. Let me quickly explain the difference between an HEV and a PHEV. Now, HEV, you don't have much say in whether the car is using its electric motor or its petrol motor. It decides for you. Now, you do get a little bit of electric-only movement, especially when you're parking. The engine doesn't come on unless it decides it needs to charge the battery. And it'll go up to about 20, 30, maybe 40 k's an hour, and depending on how much throttle you apply, and then the petrol motor will kick in. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which are a lot more expensive than these cars because they have much bigger batteries and bigger motors, those will do up to highway speeds on electric only, and some cars have 180, some cars even up to 150, 180 k's of pure electric range before it even bothers the petrol motor. So that's your big difference. But like I say, PHEVs quite a bit more expensive than HEVs, so you have to do a bit of maths. You're going to save all this money on petrol, but are you going to offset the purchase price? So that's some homework for you. I can't do it for you. You have to do it yourself. So yes, right now, Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid is the segment leader. Comes in at a good price, it always has. It's a tried and trusted system. Depreciation isn't that bad. But product for product, the Chinese cars, in my opinion, are better products. They're better spec'd. They got way more power for similar fuel consumption. And so how long is Toyota going to rule this roost for? Because you now have a Motor C5 hybrid, and Dave and Sean did an economy test. You can go watch that on our channel. There's also the Jolion hybrid, which has been out for a little while. There's now this, the Ora hybrid, which shares much of its drivetrain with the Jolion. So Toyota has some really stiff competition in this segment now. And hybrids are outselling EVs in this country 12-1. So South Africans do seem to prefer hybrids, and that's why there's an Ora hybrid now. And I do think, especially after my experience of driving the BEV on a highway road trip, I do think HEV makes more sense for our market. All right, thanks very much for watching. I'm Chiro de Siena. If you're new to the channel, we have over 1,000 videos on the channel. So if you're looking for a review, there's probably one on the channel, especially if you're in the second-hand car market. We've been doing this for a long time. We'd love it if you liked and subscribed. Join us on our journey. All right, everyone, be safe out there. Bye.